Welcome back. In this video we're going to be looking at the navigation and selection techniques that Excel 2010 has to offer, and there's going to be two main ways we can go about doing this. One's with the mouse, one's with the keyboard. I'm going to go through both and you just stick to what feels most comfortable for you. So I've opened up a general list here of some data, and we're just going to practice navigating and selecting different parts of it throughout this next video. So let's start first with the mouse techniques. Now it's real easy to select any cell. I just simply single click it and that'll make that cell active. This is called your active cell, and again you'll notice it has the black border around it. So it's one click to select, and it's 2 clicks on that cell to actually edit the data that's in there, right? And I'll know I'm in edit mode because in the bottom left my status bar says edit, right? So I can go in there and change some of the data. All right, so 1 click to select, 2 clicks to edit. Now if I'm in edit mode and I want to get out of edit mode, I just click off of that cell. Easy as that. Now I can also select an entire column or an entire row by simply clicking on the column letter or the row number, right? Pretty easy. So let's talk about a range of data next. If I wanted to select from A3 to G3, I can simply click on A3, hold with my mouse button, and drag it over to G3 and release. This is useful if you want to make some changes that affect multiple areas instead of just one cell at a time. And I can do that to any of the data I need just by simply clicking and holding and then dragging with my mouse. So fairly easy. But what happens if I want to select from A3 to G3 and then maybe, for example, I want to select A1 as well? Well, the minute I click on A1, what happens to that previously selected data is it becomes deselected. So to get around this, I can simply select that first range of data again, hold down the control key on my keyboard, and then click on the next area of data I want to select, in this case A1. So now I've got all this data selected, and I can make it maybe italics or underlined, right? I can make my changes to that data that I've selected. So this is called non-contiguous data selection. As long as I have control held down, I can continue to add different areas to that previous selection. Okay, now if I wanted to deselect everything, again, all it takes is just to click outside of that selected data and it goes back to where we were. Okay, so that's your non-contiguous data selection. Let's talk about the keyboard next. Basically anything the mouse can do, the keyboard can pretty much do as well, with the exception of one small thing, and I'll get to that in a second. So to navigate, of course, you've got your arrow keys, up, down, left, right. That'll move one cell at a time. You also have your page up and page down keys, right? So that'll move one screen vertically at a time, up or down. If I want to go one horizontal screen at a time, I can hold down Alt and hit page up or page down. So that's pretty quick too. So your tab button moves one cell at a time to the right, and if I hold down Shift while I hit tab, that moves one cell at a time to the left. Your Enter button on your keyboard moves one cell at a time down. Okay. I also have my scroll bars again. So if I want to I can click and hold on these scroll bars to drag up or down. I can also click on the arrows up and down. That's a little bit slower, so I much prefer to actually click and hold on that scroll bar and move it up or down. Okay, great. Now we talked about selecting versus editing with the mouse. I can do that with the keyboard too. So depending on what cell I currently have active, in this case it's D7, I can hit my F2 button on my keyboard, and that's going to bump the program into edit mode. And again, I can go in there and make my changes as I need to. So that's your shortcut key for getting into the edit mode, F2 on your keyboard. Alright, next let's talk about if you know the cell you'd like to get to, but you don't want to have to scroll through all the data in between. You can get there quickly by going up here to your name box and simply removing what's in there and typing the cell you'd like to go to. So let's say in this case, I know I need to get to G40. The quickest way there is to type it in my name box, hit enter, and it's going to take me right there. So that's a nice shortcut too that you can use to get around to different parts of data, especially if you have tons of columns and tons of rows and you know the cell you need to get to, but you don't want to scroll there and try to find it. All right. With ranges of data, you can also select ranges with your keyboard. I can use my up, down, left, right. But in addition, if I hold down that shift key, it'll also select that range of data. So I can hit up, down, left, right while holding down shift. I can also use my page up, page down keys. As long as I'm holding shift, it's gonna select a little bit more data quickly. You also have the combination too. Remember, alt page up and down moves you one screen horizontally at a time. If I hold down shift while I do that, well, look at that. It also selects that whole screen's worth of horizontal information. Okay, now a couple other tips and tricks here with the keyboard that are nice is you've got your home and end keys on your keyboard, right? And if I hold down control while I press these, it'll actually take me to the beginning and end of my spreadsheet. So how cool is that? You don't have to scroll to the end or go back to the beginning. You have a nice shortcut to get right there real quickly. Otherwise, we have a couple other tips here. So one thing I should point out actually before we get too far is remember that non-contiguous data range that we did with the mouse from A3 to G3, and then I also selected A1. I can't really do that with the keyboard controls here. I've got to actually use the mouse in this one situation. So for non-contiguous data selection, you've got to use the mouse. Okay, and let's see. Lastly here, if I want to quickly select everything in my spreadsheet, you can do that with the mouse and keyboard as well. With the mouse, it's just this simple gray box in between the A and the 1. I click on that and it selects everything for me, right? If I want to do that with the keyboard, I can hold down Control and tap the A key, and that produces a similar result. Not exactly the same, because what it's actually doing is depending on where you're located. So I have A6 selected here. That selected all of the data that was immediately surrounding that active cell. So it didn't select A1, it didn't select any of the blank cells or columns next to it, right? That actually was because my active cell was A6. Had I been over here in J10, for example, and did a Control A, that selects the entire spreadsheet for me. Okay, so lots of navigation and selection techniques, lots to remember, but hopefully in no time all this is going to start becoming second nature to you.